Hey everybody, in this episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show, we're breaking down Season 3, Episode 13, No Country for Old Dads. We've got sweet hair, time fractures, Wally West starts collecting souvenirs, Dave Child dances. Let's do it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Papa, don't preach. I'm in trouble.
Look at that.
Oh,
What
then I
done?
did it.
He did it.
Ah,
I told him it was
damn it.
happening, and it happened.
I told him as soon as he said that, I was like, that's not in my contract. I get extra money when I dance, but we put on the good music and it happens.
Oh, you're paid in karma, and that comes back 100-fold.
Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Legends of Tomorrow After Show. This show where we break down every episode of Legends of Tomorrow, airing Monday nights on the CW. I'm one of your hosts, Frank Moran.
I'm Dave Child.
I'm Lex Michael.
And I'm Lacretia Lyon.
And as always, folks, follow us on Facebook. Give us those 5 stars on iTunes. Subscribe to the YouTube
yum,
channel. And Lacretia's got her computer up and running, which means the chat is up and running. So feel free to hop in, share your thoughts about Legends of Tomorrow in general, or this episode in particular.
Or, just
Or us.
What you think about us.
Or
Like,
legumes, if you're into those.
Yeah, if you don't like legumes.
I don't want to
Lex
hear
is
no
really into that.
legume talk. I'm cutting the legume talk. Not on my show. No legumes.
All right. It's going to be a quiet chat, guys.
Yeah.
Before we hop into the episode in detail, a quick run, Robin. What everybody think?
Oh, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a nice... I was worried when it had the last episode ended with like an obvious, oh, he's going to be the damsel in distress. But then we were able to kind of see the whole show from another perspective. And I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I think we did a lot of stuff that was very, very fun within the episode itself, but also I feel like we're really shifting the show into what it's going to be for the rest of the season. And I'm very excited now that we have these pieces in place to see where it goes from here because, yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was probably one of my favorite episodes because I really like the dynamic between Ray and Nora, and it is kind of cute that they're a married couple in real life. And I always loved Damien Dark, and this was just a good, funny Damien Dark where he got to have fun. He got to wear the Javier Bardem rig, and it's just like, this guy, he's
Is
fun.
that why
Yeah.
this is called that?
Yep.
Dumb.
Even though it was very more Guy Ritchie than Coen Brothers to me with some of the takes.
I
But,
guess
yeah.
I just thought, like, okay, it is an assassin, and he is a dad, so they just went with the dad pun. But I didn't realize the hair was a part of it, too.
Yep, that was the same wig. I mean, close to.
Damn.
So we've got a few different storylines happening this week. We've got what's happening with Ray, Nora, and Damien. We've got Wally West integrating himself into the Legends, and then we have a little bit of what's happening with the Totem. So let's just jump in with the most important question: is what does everybody think that the future of Wipe Swipes is going to be now that their founder and CEO is no longer with them?
Right. That was pretty dark.
There will
yeah.
be maybe a decline in innovation, and many of their innovations to come will be priced out.
Diagonal swipe is going to be huge.
Yeah.
And I did
Yeah.
love how Damien Dark goes, no, I prefer the ones that go side to side. He even mentioned, you
And
know,
then as soon as he
yeah.
was like, oh, yeah, no, this is good.
That's
But I feel like as soon as he died, Ray was like, no, okay.
Yeah, he probably was like, I didn't really like that guy, but I'm Ray, so I have to pretend to care.
I mean, I guess would you all agree with that former CEO statement that swiping up and down is more intuitive than left and right?
No, I don't think so. I think when you're on the phone, it's easier to do this, and up and down is for scrolling through the pictures, which
Yeah.
I think is good on Bumble. Not that I'm on any of those
Dave is
No.
on Bumble,
dating
apparently.
websites. Also, there's a new thing on Tinder where you can just click it to see each picture. And I
Really?
like that too.
Interesting.
Not that I know that. My friend was showing it to me, who's such a loser.
Oh, all right.
No, everyone's on
Thanks,
it.
Dave. I showed you
I'm
that.
not on that.
Wow. Sorry, Anthony. I just called you out.
But I mean, even though, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when were we ever going to really go back to upswipes? But I thought, man, what a dark end for that guy.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the object of Damien Dark's boredom. Like,
Yes.
there's no reason Damien Dark had to
Right.
kill that guy other than he had a really good time. No, but he didn't have a really good time. He was literally yawning while flipping the dude up and down
Yeah.
against the floor and the ceiling.
I wish he was a bit more of a dick the last time we saw him. Because he was just like kind of an annoying guy, but you didn't feel like you wanted him dead. I feel like he could have been more of a dick.
But I feel
Yeah.
like it's something really interesting that this episode did, and I'm sure we'll get into it in more detail as we progress. But you really, or at least I did, in a number of places in this episode, really feel for Damien Dark. You actually see the humanity in that character for one of the first times in all of his appearances in the Arrowverse. But it's juxtaposed with these moments of just abject cruelty and evil, like that, like things that happen towards the end of the episode. And I think that's a really interesting juxtaposition, because even as you feel for him, you remember that like 2 seconds ago he killed the nice upswipe man for no reason.
I think that's why it's there. I think he has to do something kind of horrible in the beginning of the episode, so you get a sense of when you humanize him, it doesn't humanize him too much.
Right.
Yeah, because that's what I've always liked about Damien Dark is he is this psychopath, but like in a fun way where it's entertaining. But there is this side to him, though, that always has had a feeling for his daughter and his wife before she died. And, you know, so he's always been sort of a three-dimensional villain. Just Legends is exploring more of the fun side.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot he had
Yeah.
a wife in season 4 of Arrow who was around for a lot of it. My bad.
But I feel like that's always better. A monster's not a monster 24 hours a day. So I feel like there's got to be something, that, at least the more engaging and entertaining ones, at least they have some kind of humanity to them. And it's just a matter of finding out what that is.
Not Godzilla, monster 24/7.
Hey, he saved us from Mothra.
That's true.
There you go, see?
Still a monster, though. Doesn't make him not a monster, for the record. Just gotta be contrarian.
That's right.
And it's like I have so many things to say, but none of them are appropriate, so I'll just keep them to myself.
Right.
So the whole big gist of that storyline is the totems. Certainly, Nora can activate Amaya's totem. It's not working for her. And then we also find out that, of course, we have the fire totem, but it's in shattered pieces. So how do we make that work? We need to talk about cold fusion, guys.
Cold fusion.
Yeah.
Can you, Frank, Dave, Lacretia, can you guys really quick help me break down which totems there are? Because fire totem is the only one that I remember the name of offhand.
There's fire, there's earth, that was the one that
That's
was
right,
cursed.
because it's the title of the pirate episode. Got it.
Yeah, there's the vixen totem. I
Right,
don't know
animal
what
totem?
Animal?
Yeah.
I think it's spirit.
Yes.
Oh, that would
Yeah.
make sense.
Heart.
Yeah, basically.
And water. There's the water
Yeah.
one.
Right,
That's
Yeah,
in-
that's
Kwasa
Kwasa.
has. Okay.
inside Kwasa. And then there's a fifth element that they don't know what it is. but
Right.
I'm assuming it's
The Soul Stone.
it's what's her name from the movie Fifth Element.
Yeah, that's I was like Lilu.
I was gonna say, like, if I said the actress's name, that would be a funny joke. And then there's another element that they're very unsure about, I think. Right? Isn't there
Yeah,
like
because I think
six?
they knew of 5, and then they're like, I don't know what the 6th one is, because they say you
What
need
is the
all
fifth
6.
one?
I'm not sure what the 5th one is, because I know that they need together all 6 totems. And like, we only knew of 5. What's this? We didn't even know there was even a 6th
Okay,
one.
Okay.
Luna Malfoy 7 says spirit, wind, that water, fire, earth, and the mystery one is death.
Right.
Okay.
So the 4 elements and then spirit, and then a mystery one we don't know yet, but apparently it could be, according to Luna Malfoy 7, death.
Dun, dun,
Bum.
But luckily, even though cold fusion hasn't been invented, because Ray would know about that, Damien Dark happens to know, oh yeah, there was.
That's me.
And I made sure that it didn't get out. Cut to a nice delightful flashback of him back in the Cold War doing what he does
With
best.
The best bangs.
Best hair,
Yeah.
man. That's prime Damien Dark right there.
Back then, the hair was his magic.
But I love those, because we saw him back in the 40s, still rocking that same old Damien Dark
Yeah.
look that we know and love. And then he just took this offshoot back in the 60s, like, ah, man, I'm just
went
going to
through
grow
a
this
phase.
long.
It was just Chris Gaines' time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everybody wore their hair long back then.
There you go. Do you have a long hair face?
Yes. I was about to be like, no, but then, yeah, I did.
We need to find those
Yes.
pictures.
How long are we talking?
Honestly, they're probably not that hard to find, but no, we're talking like high school. We're talking like maybe sophomore, junior year of high school, but then after that, I was like, this is awful.
Did you go ponytail?
No.
Oh, I wish.
yeah.
I wish it was ponytail.
I maybe should have it. No, honestly, it wasn't even like it was not a good look. It wasn't even like,
Most of the time it isn't.
no, but it's not even like, oh, you could pull off the long hair if you just tried a little bit. And it was just a fundamentally corrupted idea.
Yeah.
But I just let it go for the longest. I mean, like down to my shoulders for a while.
Yes.
Did you have
Big
long
chap.
hair? I bet you had a ponytail.
God, no. No, never did a ponytail. I did let it get a little long, maybe like down to here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a moment in life where I gave up. Well, I'm still giving up in life.
I'm just glad y'all gave up, because my dad never did, and it's still the same haircut since at least 1977.
Well, that kind of comes with being a strip club DJ, right?
Yeah,
It
it
kind
is
of the
true.
long hair
Yeah.
ponytail.
Dave?
I mean, when my hair gets long though, it's fro.
Goes wide?
It goes
Yeah.
like out and up. So senior year of high school, I think it was out to here because we made a pact not to cut our hair until we graduated. So it was out to here, and I wore a lot of bronzer because I was playing, unfortunately, Sitting Bull in Annie Get Your Gun. And I decided it would be less racist if I just cover myself in bronzer instead of putting on makeup the night of. It just made me a very orange man with giant hair walking around. That was my senior year of high school. So thank you very much.
Well, at least you could be president now that you know, with the very orange and big hair.
That's
Yeah.
all it takes.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the first step.
Do you ever wish you still had that hair, Dave?
No, well, I'm getting there. It needs a haircut right now. It's getting a little big.
Now let's make a vow. I wish it was the beginning of the season. Nobody's cutting their hair until the end of the season, but
Nobody's cutting their hair until Legends comes back for season 4.
Yeah.
oh,
All
No,
right.
I'm not making
pact.
that promise. I'm not.
No?
I'm not.
You also can't shave.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll just get the Dumbledore beard by the time it starts.
that would be
Cool
delightful.
Rob Zombie thing going on. I could dig
Oh,
it. Yeah.
ooh, perfect.
Now,
You can dig through the ditches?
Yeah. And burn through the witches.
Yeah, Dragula.
Yeah.
folks, we learned a lot about our hairstyle choices there of our youth. But you know what? If you want to have fun, learn, and grow in all areas of your life, for those who do, we've got a podcast just for you. Conversations with Marie Menounos podcast edition is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder, Marie Menounos, and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Marie Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life, from health and wellness to career and relationships, finances, and more. Let our Maria be the big sister you never had. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Marie Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was us who got you there. Conversations with Marie Menounos, podcast edition. Check it out.
Tell her, hey.
Dave sent me to you.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Now, the reason why there was some back and forth, I believe, is from that one comment. Can we read that one comment about what each totem?
Oh, yes. Alex D. Figueroa Jr. says, Dave wields the hair totem. I weave the ship totem. Lex has the nerd totem. And Frank has the beef totem.
Oh,
I totally
good
agree with
job,
that.
Beef totem. That's
I
right.
think we will accept those powers.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a
That
lot.
gives
And
me,
also,
like-
there's speculation that I have the death totem, and if any of us did, it would be me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our other thing is that we've got Wally joining the Legends, and it
Yeah.
happens in the most, the easiest way possible. Where Rip comes back on with Ava and Sarah there in the waiver and says, "Hey, sorry guys, hey." Trying to make amends. It's the quickest, easiest, sorry guys, and then everything's like back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, it was, after all that time we spent with him in the last episode, it was a little bit disappointing. Bit of a letdown intro. But it was still nice to, I hope Wally does find a place on the team and they're able to use him. And I hope this episode isn't an example about how they're going to use him, because it seems like they're just like, send the speedster. To wrap it up at the end. So I hope there's kind of something there. But there's
True,
not.
but it makes
Yeah.
it the easiest way possible for the Legends. Finally, they have a speedster of their own. Like, let's just take it. We don't have to have plans go to crap on us anymore. Just send this fast guy.
Yeah, I feel like that's got to be easier. It's like it's like more of a surgical tool for their chainsawness.
He did like Deus Ex Machina the totem, which was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He took a souvenir, and that was actually one of my favorite parts of the episode when Nate is got a contact eye from the Grateful Dead concert and is explaining to Wally after he took the glasses back, because Mick, once a thief, always a thief. He goes, "Oh no, we allow minimal to moderate theft. It's
Yeah.
called taking a souvenir."
I like how that's kind of, I imagine that's kind of their pressure valve
Yeah.
for Mick. So it's just like he's not going to steal a big thing if he could steal little things.
Yeah, it's like, you can steal Jerry Garcia's glasses, but you know what? Leave the guitars.
Just
okay?
don't
Yeah.
steal Jerry Garcia.
Yeah. You gotta leave him there.
my little beef. Let's see if Dave's ready.
Here we go.
to,
Yum, yum, yum.
piece
I'm
of this.
hungry.
I'm
Beef
activating
totem.
my beef totem. I just gotta hit that and just like a big picture of beef just comes flashing out over my
Just
head.
become a giant hot dog.
So we talked about Deus Ex Machina with Wally at the end of the episode, where he grabs Ray from back at the Cold War, takes him back to the Wave Rider. He runs up, grabs him. Nora's standing right there. Why don't anybody say, like, hey, grab that totem with your super fast reflexes, grab that out from neck 2. Now we've got a bunch of totems. And nobody does. They just grab Ray and they take off.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's certain things that's just like, yeah, especially when you're a speedster and you're running against, and now the crux of it is who has one piece of jewelry and who doesn't. They're going to really have to figure out a way to not have Wally just go and just steal everyone's jewelry, because that just feels like the fastest way to get things done.
Right. Well, hopefully now that Damien Dark is aware that they have a speedster on the team, and he's dealt with speedsters a number of times in the past, hopefully he will tip everybody off and they'll take some precautions.
Well, yeah, because, he was even able to stop Reverse Flash at times with some of the technology. And so I do feel like now that he knows Wally is on their team, would have precautions in place.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think also the one thing that explains that is sometimes the legends are a little stupid. And I think really...
You mean they're outcasts?
They're outcasts and misfits. They're not heroes.
Gotcha.
And if... I don't think... Wally, one, didn't realize Vixen's totem was on Nora. I don't think. I don't think he kind of knows what the situation is. So he didn't know. And two, no one thought to tell him. Because they just got a speedster. It's new to it. They didn't even think about like getting a fire totem or anything. He just happened to steal it. And so they were lucky. So they just didn't know.
Right. So it was pure luck that he happened to steal the totem. He was just like, I'm on an adventure and I'm going to steal something and that's shiny.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and Ray did point out to Nora later, whenever they screw up at first, he goes, we do this all the time. Like, we usually mess up the first time. And, that's kind of how legends are.
I do like Sarah's, listen, we're the king of bad, we're the all-stars of bad introductions.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking, like, especially Firestorm.
Yeah.
That's true.
R.I.P. Firestorm. The worst of introductions is a roofie.
Yeah.
Just one room in the Wave Rider that was dedicated, like the Hall of Bad First Introductions.
Right.
And you just saw, there you go, here's the roofie that Martinstein used.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of rooms in the Wave Rider, there's a lot of people that tweeted at us at the end of the show and today about how they were very upset with Sarah and Ava, how we didn't get to see them in like Sarah's bedroom. And it did make me realize, have we ever seen anyone's bedroom?
No,
we saw Mix when they were trying to look at his
I feel like we did see
manuscript.
Mix.
Yeah.
Okay,
When
we did see Mix.
Yeah, when they found all the booby traps on his book.
Right.
Wait, was that his bedroom or was that was a storage
I thought
shed?
that was a storage area.
It was a storage area.
Oh, maybe in my head.
I don't
he
even
slept
think
in
it
a
was
storage
his bedroom.
area.
So I don't know if we've seen anyone's bedroom. I don't know where anyone sleeps. And a lot of people were like, 2 or 3 people tweeted at us like, we really wanted to see what Sarah's room looked like. Like, what does each of their rooms look like? I also think they just wanted to see them cuddling in bed.
Yeah,
Sure.
which is cute.
I think the most we ever got was seeing Mick come out of wherever his room is, holding his basket of laundry.
Right.
That was it. We never got to see what was inside it.
We see laundry and dishes in common areas, but we want the juicy stuff.
There's a lot of photos of my dead sister. Don't get creeped out by it.
You can't quite see who she is because we haven't cast her yet, but there's all these kind of pictures. Oh, that's a Ray, not that's his fiance.
Yeah.
Ray's
Yes.
fiance.
So we also have Ray and Nora's episode, their adventures there back in the 60s.
Yeah.
They go back. They get that scientist, but of course their time stone shattered by Damien Dark himself, who is.
Right.
So how does it like being pursued by your own father while you're trying to get out of Berlin, holding a man who holds the secrets of cold fusion?
So remind me, why is he so old? Why is he over 250 years old? What has kept him going?
Magic.
That would have been my guess. But okay, then my question would be, this hopefully is something that we could go back and have answered for us, maybe even in season 4 of Arrow. But then I would wonder, why did he have his magic hundreds of years ago and then didn't have it for a little bit in the 60s? Because 60s Damien Dark doesn't have magic.
True, and he even makes a reference like, ooh, a magic totem. I got to get me one of those.
Right.
Like,
Right.
oh,
That's what
all
I'm
right.
kind of wondering about his timeline right now. I don't think... Do we see him in the past really with magic, or do we see just his body? I got the feeling they took his body in the past.
Like in the 40s when he was on last season, he didn't have magic.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't have magic. He was just a gangster.
And he
Yeah.
even makes a comment in this episode, magic, I should try that. So this
Yeah.
may have been how, like, he was his own anachronism. He taught himself magic by, like, just seeing that. And he's like, cool.
And you're right. Wait,
Yeah.
so when we saw him in the 40s, he was just a gangster with a hat. So that means he went from the gangster in the hat to this hair. He grew
Yep.
out this hair.
And I don't know, in the 40s, had he already been part of the League of Assassins, or is that still yet to come?
Yeah, because that's what
Yeah.
everybody is saying. It was the Lazarus Pit water, but I think that this may be the introduction of him going there.
Right, maybe.
Yeah.
Because he's looking for magic and how to use magic now because they, yeah.
Right, but then...
But I don't think he had done any of this before now.
Right, but
Yeah.
then but that doesn't make sense because he would know about magic. If he'd been using the Lazarus Pits before 1962, I feel like he wouldn't have reacted, oh, magic, this is exciting and new and different.
Yeah, if he's
Right.
Multiverse.
maybe, I mean, he's what? He's 245 years old, at least present day. So you figure there's, back then there had to be something keeping you alive. You'd be like, I'm just, what's keeping me alive? No, I'm not even gonna question that. Alive and in the prime of my life.
He's vegan.
That's there you go. That's what you need.
That's it. That's
Yep.
how you get powers. That's how
He gets that
Brandon
hair.
Routh did it in
Scott
Pilgrim. Take it full circle.
But I did like the climactic battle there on the rooftop where Damien Dark's got to fight himself
Yeah.
in the prime of his life. I thought it was really cool.
That was good, but I did realize how very little that is it called? It's not called a baklava. That's a dessert.
Yeah, that's a Greek dessert.
that
the
ski
balaclava.
mask. Balaclava. But when he's wearing the
Now I'm
baklava, when he's got the baklava on his face, I did realize, like, man, he just, like, his eyes are so piercing. I feel like even if I had those eyes and saw myself with those eyes, I'd just be like, ooh, that's me.
Exactly
Doesn't
like
hide
that.
very much, you know.
That must be me coming from some other time period.
Ooh, that's me.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of good fighting. There was a lot of good. I thought maybe the hair was just there to hide the stunt double, but it was like a lot of good fun and assassin-y stuff. And the guy who, like, the Cold War guy with the doll.
Yep. I am surprised though that Nora never really gave Damien a hard time. Like, that was your hair? You used to rock hair like this?
You did that?
Also, if Damien Dark was once one of the greatest assassins in the world, though granted this is by his own estimation, so maybe he is embellishing a bit, but if he was as efficient an assassin as he seems to be, how come him and Malcolm didn't know how to shoot people last season?
That was because it was the Star Wars episode, and they were
Wait.
supposed to
The
not be able to hit them.
Stormtroopers.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll buy it.
yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, but that's still a big. Unless magic has just made him rusty, because he probably hasn't shot a gun.
Okay, actually,
Yeah.
you know what? That's actually very fair.
He probably hasn't shot a gun in 50 years.
Yeah, okay,
at that
fair.
point.
I do accept that.
That is Legends logic with
Okay.
Dave
All right.
Child.
Legends logic with Dave Child. Let me tuck your way through all the plot holes.
So while we've got them trapped back in the past, we also have Ray trying to provide some kind of counseling between to both Nora and Damien about how to kind of make sure that
Right.
this father-daughter relationship is on its best footing as it possibly could be.
Yeah, this was very fun, right? In a world where I think we were all head scratching a little bit at the resolution or the lack of resolution at the end of last week's episode, I feel like at least they really made the most of the dynamic between these three characters.
Yeah, I actually think they did a good job, especially the between Ava and Ray. Like, I think they did a good job putting them in a spy situation, so he had to lie and lie horribly, and she had to lie and lie great. And it made me kind of like the two of them. I'm curious to see what happens.
Hey,
Yeah,
they
I kind
got-
of think. I mean, Nate did say, "Do you like Nora?" Yeah.
her?
Yeah, and it
s-
was cute.
I saw some other chat where there were some comments about this episode and said, they've already been kind of laying the groundwork for a Zari-Ray relationship. So, and that'll be so much better when he's with Zari, who's a little bit more cynical. I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen any kind of
haven't
hints
seen that.
of
Yeah.
a Zari-Ray kind of relationship development.
No,
Yeah,
if they did that, it would feel as like forced as the Ray hot girl.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
were definitely moments of the two of them specifically bonding, but I never read it as anything more than friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read it, especially with Zari plays very deadpan and straight, and it's just them talking, and it feels like a very friendshipy thing. This one, it feels like they're fighting and fighting until they kiss, sort of feeling to it, and I could see it happening. And also, we got to meet her as an innocent little girl, which is weird for Ray. But for us, it makes us like her more. It makes us feel like we could see the innocent being kind of corrupted. So there is a path of redemption that's being set out for her character.
Well, and two, having Ray be the one to say, you know, in when he talks to Mick and other people about, you know, wanting to save her, that's also kind of sweet and leading towards more, in my opinion, because Ray sees a different side of her that she's not able to express in her relationship with her father. But that's why I liked him sort of talking to both of them, wanting them to be, you know, him to be a better dad and all this. It was very sweet on Ray's end, and you see even Nora be receptive of not wanting to torture the doctor after a while. I mean, yeah. No.
And we do have Ray helping Damien tie a more efficient knot, which I thought was a nice little scene. Even though you're subduing me, I'm going to make sure you do it the best way possible.
Yeah, that was because I'm an Eagle Scout.
You know, I will have to say, as an Eagle Scout, and I am an Eagle Scout, I do not know what he's talking about. Not every Eagle Scout has those superpowers. So he's also super smart, and so maybe that's why he knows that stuff. But it's one of those things that they like to do in stories where make him an Eagle Scout, then he knows everything about wilderness. I'm like, I'm an Eagle Scout. I don't.
Wait, what is your knot knowledge like, Dave?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I could save some knots I can do some knots to save your life.
Yeah.
And save my own. I could do a bowline knot really well, but mostly only around myself. So it's hard to do it around other people. But yeah, I know some knots. I could do some knots.
All right, so if you were there to help us move large furniture, secure, you could help us in that.
Sure, I guess. If I could also just pick up your furniture for you. If that's what you...
All right, nice. What are you doing next Saturday?
Oh,
great.
I got a thing next Saturday.
Wait, I mean, it sounded like you were completely free.
Well, no, not Saturday. It's an Eagle Scout get together. Where all the Eagle Scouts get together, we practice our knots. That's what we always do. That's how we know.
My little mini beef about the Ray storyline.
Mini beef.
Here we go.
Yes,
The Vienna sausage.
when they come back and they've got Ray all tied up, Damien pulls out Ray's little miniaturized version of the Atom suit. So Ray had this with him when he was still in pirate gear. Why did he just not put that on when he went back to give them the antidote? Why don't you go in, as armed to the teeth as possible when you're going up against Damien Dark?
Yeah, I mean,
we did this last week though. I feel like why did you go alone? Why didn't you try and negotiate for more totems?
No, true, but why if you were going to go alone? I can understand that, but go with as much armament on yourself as possible.
You're playing Monday night quarterback. That's what you are right now.
But the show airs Monday night. That's the perfect time.
You're the Monday morning quarterback. Ray
is the cutest, but the dumbest genius there is.
He's
Let's
also
go with that.
extremely optimistic.
Yeah.
So without some guidance from Sarah and Rip and other people, he will go in with kind of feeling like this is going to go morally right and correct, and he doesn't really have a strategic mind. So he brought the thing in case he needed it, but he didn't wear it like he should have.
It's that I could totally go with, but it also seems a little bit like he forgot things. Like he's met Damien Dark before a couple of times.
Yeah, man.
Ray wants to see the good in people, even Damien Dark, and especially Nora Dark, because he thinks she's pretty. And that's really what happened. Is Ray's like, I'll save her, and he'll be really grateful because he loves his daughter, which was true. Honestly, Damien was like, all right, yeah, whatever.
Listen.
And then she stroked him, and he's like, okay, well, I guess, I'll help you out, sweetie.
We're nibbling at your beef, but we're not eating it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It's
It's still sitting there, and anyone can pick it up for leftovers.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. We also learned, I think this has been mentioned before, that Ray likes to put butter in his coffee. Did anybody ever put butter?
I've heard of this.
People do that.
This is it's part of the bulletproof coffee thing.
Yeah, and so actually, Brandon Routh is in love with bulletproof coffee, which started in Vancouver while they're filming, and this is actually just the recipe for that. It's coffee with butter and MCT oil, and because he even brings up the MCT oil later. And yeah,
What's MCT oil?
It is some sort of dietary supplement. I actually put it in my coffee. That's why I know. And it's, a little bit of protein. I wish I knew
Sounds like
more
a
about.
drug.
Have you
Well,
guys
I
ever
put drugs in my
had the
coffee, too.
full bulletproof coffee?
Yeah, it's really good.
Is it?
Yeah.
It just seems weird to put butter in coffee.
Well, actually, butter is much better for you than
cream.
anything else to put in your coffee. And Vinny Tortorich, Adam's trainer, would say, butter in your coffee or cream in your coffee, just straight cream, way better than the crap that people are putting in it now.
I'm from New
Yeah.
England. I like to put maple syrup in there.
really?
Wait, is that
Yeah.
a thing?
Yep.
Yeah, my friend always put the syrup in her coffee at IHOP.
Try it out.
Yeah.
It's
Never heard
great.
of I lived in New England for like 4 years. I've never once heard of this.
Yeah. Oh, you got to go to like Vermont and
That's why.
and Maine and stuff.
That's why.
Oh, all right. You got to go to really cool areas. Got it.
Yeah, the cool areas like Vermont and Maine.
The other storyline, too, of course, is that we have Ava and Sarah. They have a little night of passion. They're in the Wave Rider.
Little night of passion.
And they hang out. Two things that we find out, though. One is getting back in touch with the Time Bureau, only to see
was
Grodd, who I had
cute.
forgotten. That I was like, yeah, that's right. They did
That
get
wasn't
Grodd.
so cute.
But Grodd comes back and basically lays waste
Just
to
stomps
all the
that
Top
dude
Gear.
out.
That
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
happens with Grodd because it's like Grodd's here. He's part of the team, but we don't have budget for him, so you'll see him when you need to.
Yeah.
But I was excited when Grodd joined that dark team.
Yes.
And I really love the line whenever Ava's like, "Oh my God," and then Rip goes, "It's Grodd, actually." Like it was just like such a douche,
Rip.
but it was funny.
Oh, we're back to brown coat Rip.
Actually, what we got, I think we got Rip's ultimate form in this episode, in that there was a scene where he had his Time Bureau blue suit on under the brown coat.
There you go.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so.
It was cute.
I have a little bit of a. I had
Lay
a.
down the beef.
Oh,
Dave's got
oh,
beef.
Dave. Dave's got beef.
I just thought
Dave's got beef.
this was such a moment when it happened, and I feel like you did the same thing too. And I wish we had watched it together, but like, because as soon as it happened, I went like, "Oh, come! What are you doing?" And it's when Rip was like, "Delete file."
Yep.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah must never know about Ava's past. And I'm like, who don't say that to, you don't need to say that to Gideon. All you needed to do was just like, delete file something concerning Ava. That's it. That's it. And it would have been mysterious as hell.
Yeah.
That's all you needed to do. Even the deleting of the file is fine with me.
Right.
Because he's like, oh, she's in a relationship. She can't know that Ava's really her granddaughter from the future. Or
That's messed up,
Too
man.
late. No, that
Like-
information would have been way more useful yesterday.
I don't think that's actually the case, by the way.
I
But
hope
that was
not.
like my first thought that came. I was like, we don't know what time she's from. But as soon as they were like, delete the file, I was like, that's cool. But then the whole like,
It
must
almost-
never know. By the way, I'm on a TV show.
It was like major, like I thought he was gonna twirl his mustache.
Yeah.
But Alex D. Figueroa Jr. brings up, I think Ava's a time anachronism, and that's what I said too when I was talking to somebody earlier today. I'm like, I think that may be the thing here, is that Ava is
Yeah.
an anachronism.
Uh-oh.
I like that. That
Yeah.
might be a good one.
Yeah, that make a lot of sense dramatically.
I could also think that maybe she's related to Dark somehow.
That was my other
Maybe.
thought too, like some other daughter.
Yeah.
Well, and two, being her last name is Sharp, we've had Evelyn Sharp on Arrow, and then what is her name? Hazard.
I don't know.
Yeah, her last name is Sharp as well on The Flash. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sharps running around.
Yeah.
A lot of sharks.
So I'm like, she could be potential relatives of these people. Or,
Right. Right. I was getting a lot of tweets, though, after it aired, with a lot of people worried that this means Ava's somehow going to die. And I understand why people are concerned about that, because when there's a woman in a relationship with another woman on TV,
especially this network.
it has a problem of ending in death. But what I think right now is I think they recognize that problem, so I'm hoping that makes her a little bulletproof.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that the CW, after the backlash from the 100 or
100,
whatever,
yeah.
that I don't see them killing her off. And thank you, chat, for telling me it's Becky Sharp. I was like, oh, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay.
And so she's
Yeah.
eating a lot of butter and MZT oil to help make her
Yeah.
bulletproof.
Yeah, bulletproof.
Just like that. There you go.
Done.
But I feel like we have Martinstein's daughter and grandchild
Yes.
that are an anachronism. So I feel like we could, finding out that Ava's an anachronism doesn't mean that she has to be erased.
Right.
Or
What if
corrected.
it's Martin Stein's great granddaughter or something? Because we don't know what. When it comes to Time Bureau people, we actually don't know what time each of these people are from.
Yeah.
Fair,
They
yeah.
could be from separate times. They could all be anachronisms, and maybe that's how they are able to survive.
I at least hope Gary is from our time because then it would explain his, his behavior. He's just being
Well,
Gary.
Gary.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know
Gary.
he's a millennial.
How I'd love to be the bumbling fool in a Time Bureau.
That's right. So we do have, in terms of the totem storyline, pretty quick story, but that Wally at least at first attempts to help them meditate. Was like, oh, yeah, that's a great way to get them involved with the team
Yeah.
pretty quickly. But then he ruins that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was helping out my bro Nate for a while when he was trying to get over this basic bitch. I'm that basic bitch.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Don't talk. You're talking to two women.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you use the term bitch. Wally, no.
And like he's just
Never.
he's grinning like a puppy while he does it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
You'll
such a good
get
bro.
this. You'll get how much we could talk about bitches, right? Oh, Wally.
And I like that he literally runs away after he does that. He's like, "Oop, gotta go."
But we find out that once they get to that space in between spaces there, that the totem hasn't activated for Nora is because she doesn't really have a selfless reason to use it yet. So
Right.
Amaya's connection is stronger. But at the end of the episode, when she's willing to let herself be killed for Damien to save himself, it activates, and now Amaya's lost control of that totem, and it's taken over that little space in between space. It's getting closer and closer for Malice to now come back to our space.
Yeah.
And that scene where he's trying to fight off himself while keeping her afloat, I thought that scene was insanely tense and insanely
yeah.
effective. I was
good.
I was a little bit blown away at parts, and I love watching Damien come to that moment. It's like he knows deep down that he loves his daughter, but we never see him express it. We never see true emotional vulnerability from this dude. And watching this moment where he breaks, where he decides to let his daughter die, and not carelessly, vindictively, or because it's good fun, but because he has to, it absolutely
Because she-
tears him apart.
Yeah, and because she begs him to do it, and when she's acting unselfishly, that's the moment that kind of clicks. But it's interesting. It's the moment. A good moment is what brings the darkness in, which is interesting. It's not. I'm curious to see if that's why I think she's on a path of redemption,
Yeah.
where she's gonna have to defeat Malice, kind of in her own head and her own way, and that's how Malice is really gonna get destroyed in the end, is through her means.
Yeah, because you do see these moments with her character, especially throughout this episode, where she isn't evil. You know, she's just obviously misled. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad they also brought up the fact that it's like you realize you're palling around with the dad that left you to be with a demon in order to save his own skin.
Yeah, that
And I'm
talked
glad-
you into doing it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, you got to go. But I did like, I feel like Damien definitely has that sense of remorse from that conversation they have at the end of the episode about doing that. Even though he was selfish, but also he can be feeling like, man, this maybe not was the greatest idea that I've hooked my daughter up with some kind of interdimensional demon.
Right,
So-
but he brought her cocoa, so it's a wash.
But I'll be curious to see when he
Got that
sees
from Jitters.
the effect that this is having on her, as we see at the end of the episode, how Damon's going to react. Like, the fact that he certainly would love to see the world kind of destroyed, but the fact that he'd have to probably destroy his own daughter in the process of that, is that going to make him still be all on board with this?
Right. Well, he wants to destroy it and then remake it in his own image. It's that remaking that I think he puts a lot of his hopes and dreams in. Like, if he destroys it, he can remake his daughter and then it'll be fine. Which is not a good.
Yeah. Well, that seems like a great place for us to make some predictions about what we might be seeing
Yeah.
in future episodes.
AfterBuzz prediction.
Your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
I like what we did.
Yeah, I like
better.
Dave's sound effects.
There you go. Any thoughts about next week's episode?
I didn't see what's next week on.
I never see these next week on. So what in brief, what did the next week on seem to indicate?
It's a lot of fun, a lot of hijinks, a lot of wackiness in the
Are they
course
being
of time.
heroes?
It's,
Bad first impressions.
it's Elvis Presley, guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
Yes.
Okay, who do you think on that ship is the biggest Elvis nerd? I honestly, low key, I could almost see it being Mick.
I
see
actually
it
think
being
it
Mick.
will be Mick, just because it's like that would be fitting with his character without being too hokey.
Yeah.
Because it's like you could see him being somebody who's really into Elvis.
Elvis is kind of like something that a lot of dudes like tend
Yeah.
to like.
But I think it's an
Older
old
dudes.
enough thing. Yeah, I think that would be Mick. I don't imagine any of the younger legends are going to be as tied in.
No, and it's not nerdy enough for Ray or Nate.
Like if
Yeah.
Stein had been around, Stein would probably be deep into it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is the thing, is Stein would have been somebody around at that time, yeah.
Right, but also Mick seems to very quietly really enjoy a lot of art. He actually seems to be a fan of most things except like clowns.
True. Well, we even remember from the very first episode where they're playing that old song in the bar, or at least whatever it is. But his mom played all that music for him as a kid, so kind of sucked him into it. So I can understand why he'd be into it.
Everyone's saying Nate is.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, Nate does kind of look like Jonathan Rhys-Meyers in a little bit, so maybe he thought, like, who was a really good Elvis in the TV movie, and I'm like, so maybe he's like, my mom always thought I looked like him.
He's got the pompadour, too.
Yeah.
It kind of has the hair.
Do we
Yeah.
see any of the legends actually singing any portion of an Elvis song?
I hope
Hunk of
so.
Burning Love should be in there, especially if we have Mick doing the fire stuff.
I can see it. I wouldn't mind seeing the entire Legends lineup wearing the jumpsuit and the hair and the like in 3,000 Miles to Graceland, like when they're
Right.
just like walking through
Oh, I
somewhere.
love that movie.
It's quite a thing, man. Frank,
Yes.
have you seen the magnum opus,
Of
3,000
course.
Miles to Graceland?
Come on, Kevin Costner, Kurt Russell. How could you not see that?
Yeah,
Got
it's a
your
fun
Christian
film.
Slater, your David
Yeah.
Arquette.
Yeah, who cares about those guys?
Bokeem Woodbine, I
what?
think. Wasn't he the fifth guy?
Yep.
No shade at David Arquette. Deputy Dewey was one of my first crushes, so no. Like,
Which one? Like more he's kind of gimped out and like Scream 2?
Oh yeah, Scream 2 is my favorite because Timothy Olyphant's.
And he fought those giant spiders that one
Yeah.
time.
That's
Yeah,
there you go, very
Eight-Legged Freaks, another great film there, guys.
That's a great film.
Yeah,
No,
so,
not
and
at all.
of course, we've already talked about Constantine coming back for the last episode of the season, but he's also coming back in the
yummy.
15th episode as well. Can't get enough of that Constantine.
Good
Coming back
news.
for 2 more
Yeah.
episodes this season. So there you go, which is
You're
nice.
welcome.
The way they kind of let it, but I feel like he has information to impart, which he could deliver in the 15th, and then he can come back in the 18th to help them wrap it all up.
Yes.
Yeah, and he might be involved with that death totem, is what I'm
Dun,
guessing.
dun,
It
dun.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it's a great way where you can do a pseudo info dump from a character from whom it makes complete sense. It's not
Yeah.
like I did some research and I unlocked a file we couldn't find before. I found the secret internet and now we know.
Yeah, he's a good.
Well-
Also, by the way, we did reveal in this episode what Mollis's whole plan is to make him escape his prison by breaking down time itself, and that's
Yes.
why he's putting in all the anachronisms. And I really like that. I
Yeah,
think
it makes
that's-
sense.
It actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's tied into like it's a good way of tying in the magic prison-y stuff with time. I think that's a good way of doing it. So.
And Matt Ryan, there's an article where he's saying that, I think it came out today, that there's no plans for a season 2 of Constantine. I feel that's just a direct challenge to Lacretia to pick up the mantle and carry that.
Yeah.
and
He's
make
calling you out.
Yeah, I know. It's
Like,
like,
do you love my show, Lacretia?
well, and
Prove it.
two, if there is no season 2 of Constantine, maybe Constantine joins the Legends in this finale. I mean, that may be the thing. Is maybe he's saying it because it's like there can't be a season 2 of Constantine because I'm going to be on Legends of
There's
Tomorrow.
going to be a brown coat off.
Oh yeah.
Well, but speaking of, right, even if there's not a full-time position for Constantine on the show, at least they could potentially utilize him the way they're utilizing Rip. Like he pops in when he's
Yeah.
necessary to facilitate the plot or throw his personality into the mix and then he bounces for a little bit.
So you can only have one brown coat at a time.
Yes.
I call poppycock.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show. But thanks everybody for hopping in the chat. Of course, you can give us a like on Facebook, those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give it a thumbs up while you're there as well. And if you want to continue the conversation with any of us after the show's over, Lacretia, where can they find you?
Hey guys, since I'm Lacretia Lyon, you can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet since there is only one. And I also have a podcast, so while you're there subscribing to Conversations with Maria Menounos, subscribe to my podcast, Mrs. Brightside. This week, I have Mr. Dave Child on it.
I'm
Yeah.
in it.
And then eventually, if you guys tweet Happy Go Jackie and the Lex Michael what they need to be on the bright side about, they will do the show as well. They're just having a little trouble coming up with something.
Why don't we come in together and talk about the bright side of each other?
Oh, yeah.
I gotta talk
That would be
forever.
adorable.
It'd be a very
Cute.
quick conversation for
It would
Lex.
real brief 40-second podcast.
That's right.
I am Lex Michael. I'm all over social media at the Lex Michael. I also do a podcast with Tara J. Miller called Missing Out. We talk about art, media, culture, experiences, etc., etc., etc. This weekend we're talking about Alex Garland's Ex Machina, a movie that tickled my brain. I think might tickle yours as well. Find our podcast on iTunes at Missing Outcast, also wherever podcasts can be found. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean.
Blue.
Yeah, it gets a new one. Google Play, Podbean. Come check it out. We love you. Mwah.
And I'm Dave Child, and you can find me at MrDaveChild on Twitter and Instagram. Also DaveChild.com. Hey, also while you're there at DaveChild.com or on Twitter at MrDaveChild, I have a new music video I'm in with my wonderful friend Chris Fleming. And we are in a music video for the band Darling Side, where we dance around an abandoned warehouse. So please watch it, share it, enjoy it if you want to see me dance around an abandoned warehouse in a bow tie.
That's true. It is delightful. I have seen it. Yes. I'm Frank Moran. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. And the four of us, just keep an eye out on our social media handles. The four of us are going to get together a little after this and talk about a new Robert Kirkman series from Image Comics called Oblivion Song. We're going to share our thoughts. We'll let you know where and when you can see that conversation taking place. Until then, folks, I will see you back here next Tuesday night for another episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show right here on AfterBuzz TV.
I love you. Bye.
Speed off.
Swamp off.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Swamp
Death Swamp Life.
Swampy.
Yeah.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.